always ask myself like, why the heck do I want to shoot a documentary? And then I remember like I've never really seen a documentary of a young black kid from a village who's taking on the global art world, one masterpiece at a time. And I was like, why not do it yourself? The mere fact that I come from a village in South Africa called Kutupu Village, and in Kutupu Village I was raised by my grandmother, and with her raising me, that's where I started like creating art for the first time. And I started creating art from like collecting mud from the river and then creating clay sculptures. And with those creating of those clay sculptures, I then discovered that I could also harden those clay sculptures and turn them into ceramics.
Bix e be e le ngwana o mo right ke ngwana wa boraro ka mo lapeng ke last born o go jele ngwana yo e leng gore o ne a rata go bapala ka dilo.
And then in primary school, I did art classes for the first time. So it was only really when I was 10 years old I learned what art really was. And at 10 years old, I started looking into like getting art books. And in those art books, they used to showcase like European masters, like works from like Monet, works from William Turner, who's my favorite British artist of all time, and Picasso. And then just looking at those masters' works, I just realized I was like, oh, these are great, but like none of them look like me. Like, which other black artist is there that I can look up to? And at 10 years old, I couldn't really find any, or at least my school was not teaching me about any.
At the high school, let me tell you, he got a scholarship at primary of SSP, take him to high school. At the high school is where we see this man knows art. O thomile go ba le thagasello ka gore o ne a tšea di 100% ga re ilo checka di-result tša gage ka art go ba go fihlela gone jwale ke ge re thoma go bona gore o ngwana yo art e mo mading a gage. That is why re ile ra decide gore re swanetše gore re mo supporte, re mo thekge every step of the way until now.
And I just remember it's like 16 years old, I took this one exchange trip to Scotland on a student exchange program. And then getting onto that plane, that was like the first time anybody from my village has ever been on like an aeroplane or really kind of like left the country. And I just remember that as I was traveling to the UK, I was then carrying sort of like the hopes and dreams of like my villagers and my friends and family. And then I felt that during my trip, I was never alone. And I felt like these amazing people were always there with me. And then with just that sense of like community, always having people backing me and supporting me, I always felt like their ancestors were flowing through me.
My name is Wanu Familoni, and I met Gigs about 3 years ago in 2018 when we were both studying in Rome. I was just doing a term abroad from my school in California, and Gigs was going there and pursuing his bachelor's degree. And we met through a mutual friend who I had gone to high school with in California. And basically just to show a little bit about Giggs's character, whenever he feels like he can connect to people and make it, mutually beneficial for them, he will always go out of his way. So long story short, Giggs's landlord was having a party in Rome, and he invited a bunch of people, including me, who he didn't know at the time. And we had such a great time, and that's how we met. And from then on, we just started scheming and collabing. And I knew that Giggs, even though his main thing was visual art. I even remember him doing wine and arts to support himself while we were in Rome, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
I can recall the first time I met Gigs. I was studying abroad in Rome, and we were both in the same club, Africans of the World Culture Club. And after he discovered that I was a director and writer, he came up to me with this great idea to do a short film about his life as an artist. And I decided to jump on the chance. I mean, this guy was passionate, he was dedicated, and he was ready to tell the story. So he was with me every step of the way, from writing the script, pre-production to production to even post. And neither one of us, needless to say, really knew what we were doing. It's our first time making a film in Rome, and we were running like chickens with our head cut off. But at the end of it, what came out was this beautiful story called Oiled in Acrylic, and I couldn't be more thankful for having a chance to meet this young brother.
I originally wanted to title my solo exhibition, which is going to take place in London in October at Signature African Art in London Mayfair. Badimo Kgole. Badimo is a word in South Africa which means ancestors or gods of. And then Kgole, which is my surname, also plays on a translation which means far. And then hence why I decided to name the solo exhibition Badimo Kgole, because if it wasn't for like a lot of people's ancestors sort of like crossing paths with me, I wouldn't have been like able to sort of be in London right now and plan this exhibition.
I met Gigs back in 2016. We had a publication, an online publication, and one of the junior journalists came forward and said, there's this young man from Limpopo who you might be interested to interview. So I asked him to arrange the interview, and then we went and met Gigs, and I was quite impressed with him. I was quite impressed with this overview of life and what inspired him and what inspires his art. Why art?
Kona mmereko wa gago ene ke yona art ya gage ile go on the front page. Buku ye ge ke mo gopotse ke lebelela buku ye ene difatlhego tše di lego I can see se seng e ka ba saka, se seng e ka ba sa gage. Because ka gore ke ngwana e leng gore o close le nna too much, very very close. Ka moka bana ke baka ke ba rata, mara this one is a special child. I love him very much.
But one specific work I want to talk about today would be the God Gemama artwork. Specifically for me, the artwork isn't necessarily a figure of one person or one idea, but it's more of a combination of things I've gone through in life. It's kind of really hard to talk about it actually. Being a 22-year-old Black South African artist, trying to make it out in the world is heck difficult. It's very difficult. So what divine God Gemama, the artwork, I am God, is a series of events that have occurred in my life. Not in any specific order, but see, those series of events sort of triggered the emotion and the feeling that I had when I was creating that artwork. And I mean, it was different emotions, emotions of love, pain, loss, and victory. And then another event and emotion that also is drawn into the work is the fact that, like, growing up, I was always raised by a woman. In the instant that I was raised by my grandmother, I was raised by my mother, I was raised by my sister, and also my grandmother on my dad's side. And this is quite an emotional story for me, for the fact that growing up in the village, it's nothing like the city. You go through life different. We used to sort of all sleep around in the hut, and we'd sleep on the floor during winter times, and then we'd sleep in like the kitchen, and then we'd all lay with our bodies there, all snuggling together just to keep warm during winter. And my grandmother from my dad's side, she always like invited me to like snuggle up with her and we'll keep warm. And then she worked for a white family in Joburg. So the first time I really got to see Joburg and like sort of like the urban side of South Africa was through her. And I believe I was probably 4 or 5 at the time. So it'd always be like, hey, Gigs, do you want to go visit your grandmother? And I'd be like, yeah, I want to visit her because she's great. I love her. My grandmother would be like, sweet, let's pack your bags and let's go chill, let's go to Joburg, let's go see the lights. And Joburg was the lights. Everything else was darkness. So now she has me, she has a bag, and all you hear is trains going, and I'm just like holding on to her, smiling, and then I look her right in the eye, and she'd always look back. And that look she gives me was like a look of safety, home, pureness, love. She was my heaven. Yeah, she was my heaven. So now we fast forward, I think I turned 7 years old. Now we've moved to a sort of like a more better place. It's like in a little town, not little, but a town called Kempton Park. So I started going to school there because my dad had a job at a local power station there. At the time, my whole family was obviously living at that house that we lived in Kempton Park, for the mere reason that my grandmother was sick. And then so every day I come back from school, I get to see her, and then I give her kisses in her bed, and she still gives me the same look. She gives me the same look. But the one time I didn't go say good morning, and I didn't kiss her good morning, have a good day, and I'll see you later. That one morning I didn't do that because I was a kid, I was late for school. I looked at the door where she was in. I didn't go in because I dashed out. And then in my head I was thinking, no, it's cool, don't worry. When you get back from after school, you'll get the look from her, your heaven, and you get to kiss her and you get to tell her about your day. And then I ran back home after school. She wasn't there. And that was the day my grandmother passed. And I didn't get to see her again. I didn't get to get that look. But deep down in my heart, I'll never forget that look. And I felt like at 7 years old I lost my heaven.
And Sesanga, it was a brave child. Ube ale brave.
So I grew up in Tembisa Township in South Africa, and living in that in those informal settlements. I remember at 4 or 5 years old, I used to sort of play games with like my friends. We used to like run around like the different shacks, just chasing each other, playing tag. And just this one time, one of my friends was just decided that, hey, we should maybe explore further into the informal settlements and like find the center, because where we lived was sort of like a circular complex of like informal settlements and shacks all stacked together. And I just remember that this just after this one rainy day, my friend decided that, hey, let's go do some exploring today. So then we went right to the center where all the heaps of rubbish were collected from all the different informal settlements. And then there was just this one toy that was floating in this like mud of dirt. And then my friend was just saying like, I dare you to go pick up that toy and take it. And then I remember just wanting to take that toy and collect it because I didn't have any. And it was a Buzz Lightning toy. And it was missing one foot, but at the same time, I just knew that, you know, if I could just get it, I could then maybe build another foot from it and just put it together. And I think I enjoy like putting things together, even with like my collage works. And I just like as a 5-year-old kid, I thought that, you know, I could actually do it. So I went out, started walking, and then as I was walking, the water was by my lips, and I started feeling like I was losing ground as I was trying to get the toy, but I just knew that if I just push a little bit further and then the water would just be above my nose, but I could maybe potentially like obtain this and achieve this. So I literally just dove in, grabbed the toy, and then as soon as I grabbed it, I realized there was no more ground for me, and I just sunk. And that was like my first sort of like close to death experience I've ever had. But luckily for me at the time, my friends saw me sinking, and then they grabbed me and they pulled me. And when they pulled me out, I still had the toy in my hand. And then I asked myself, like, why did I risk everything for this one toy? And that's always been like a consistent question in my head. It's like, why do I risk so much for what I want to achieve? Because even stepping into like the art world when I was 19 years old, a lot of my friends were going to universities. A lot of my friends obviously had like jobs secured, and a lot of people telling me like, you know, Gigs, go for the conventional job where your 9-to-5 job, art is not gonna pay, and who's gonna ever recognize you in the art world? But because I knew that I wanted to become an international visual artist, I wanted to become Kgole, the artist that I could look into a magazine and show my grandkids and show them all the amazing paintings that I've been able to create over the years, show them all the amazing history that I've been able to document through my works. I wanted to like become like the Picasso that I was learning about when I was 6 years old. I wanted another kid from South Africa or Africa to learn that, hey, there's somebody who looks like me and he was able to do it.
He has been such an inspiration to me as an artist, and to pursue what I want and to grind and to believe in myself more than anything, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. That's the number one lesson I've learned from Gigs.
His work ethic and the way he decides to be vulnerable with his artwork is something that is truly amazing, and it constantly inspires me to explore my own vulnerability with my own art.
The other thing that inspired me about Gigs was that I have a son. He's 10 years old now. So he has learning challenges. So Gigs has, what he indicated to me when we met was that he has dyslexia. So I was quite intrigued, because one thing that I've always understood and appreciated about people with some form of learning disability is that they are quite talented people. They find different ways of expressing themselves. So when I met Gigs, I was quite intrigued to learn that he has dyslexia. However, he's not using that as an excuse not to excel. In fact, he's using that differently to inspire his artwork. So if you look at his artwork from the beginning, even until now, his inspiration, his drive is underpinned by his outlook on life and how he sees things, how he has experienced life, how he has experienced learning overall. So that, for me, I think it inspired me to look at my son from a different perspective, look at my son to think that he can become something better than what we normally assign to people with learning challenges. So his artwork, for him, I know when I spoke to him, he said he wants to inspire. So the messaging behind his work resonated a lot with me because it speaks directly to my own child, to think that my child can be like Gigs.
Message wa ka ke gore o dule o le a role model go bana ba bang, especially gona mo re dulang mo Tlhalane kahle. O dule o le a role model go bona, ba ithute ka wena, ba tsebe gore art ke bophelo and art e ka go isha kgole and art e ka go creator. E creatile wena le wena. I wish gore ga o fetša school o tle mo o tlo kgona ba guide ka yona art.
This year celebrates 5 years of me becoming an international visual artist. I started at 19 years old. I just literally dove into pursuing my passion and career straight after high school by investing into art materials and investing into like going to galleries and then starting to exhibit and also starting to like hang around the right circles. And then one thing led to another, and now I'm here.
If this is a message to you in 5 years, congrats on winning another award. Congrats on exhibiting in Asia as well as South America and North America. And congrats on exhibiting all over the world. And congrats on staying true to yourself and maintaining your integrity the whole time. And it's such a pleasure to know you, to call you one of my partners in crime. And I can't wait to just continue to change the world with you, one step at a time, one piece of art at a time.
In 5 years, I see gigs everywhere. I see his art galleries like in New York, San Francisco, in France, in South Africa, all over the world. And I can't wait to have his art hanging on my wall if I can afford. If I can afford it. Who am I fucking kidding? Of course I'll be able to afford it by that time. I can't wait to buy it and give you all of my coins. Gigs, be a rock star.
In 5 years time ke bona a le kgole, ga if and only if a ka tšea ditaelo tšaka tša rena batswadi a tšwela pele ka tšona. Ke tlo bona a le kgole ga a ka phela ka go dula a hlompha, ka go dula a rata batho, o tlo ya kgole. In 5 years time ke mo ke mmonang a le gona.
The one thing that I can wish for him is just to explore the world, because I think he's the type of person who loves to create, and people who love to create benefit from being in different environments, whether it's in America or whether it's in Africa, it doesn't matter where. So the one thing that I would wish for him is to get the opportunity to explore the world and go to wherever his heart desires, so that he brings out more work that drives his passion. Because I know one thing about Gigs is that he is one of those people with a beautiful heart. The one thing that we always want from an artist is their heart, because the heart is always the authentic part of an artist. His work is always infused with his upbringing, his connection to his village, his connection to his mother, his connection to his parents, basically. So him being able to travel the world and see as many things and be exposed to as many environments as possible, we will get the most beautiful work out of gigs.
So with this whole exhibition, I plan on doing creating some like really funky works. It's gonna be like a celebration of 5 years of Kgole art, of tears, laughter, uncertainty, and just amazing, beautiful people that I've gotten to meet all over the world. So celebrating like my adventures in Africa, my adventures in Europe, and the friends and the families that I've made in the Americas and Asia. So it's going to be a whole combination of all of those ancestors' specific traits, tropes, all put together to create these set of, I believe, 25 works I'll be working on, which will range from small ceramics, collage work, my famous 3D artworks, and since I'm stepping into the NFT space, some digital works too. So I'm always challenging myself to pursue what's better and pursue new materials, pursue new conversations, because I believe that art is always consistently developing, and you should always develop your skills, your talents, and just to improve and sort of give like the best you can with the best that you have. I feel like the moment that my art begins to be perverted or be used in the wrong way, I think I should stop. As soon as I feel like I'm not pouring any of my soul into pieces and creating pieces, that's when I'm gonna personally retire. And that might be in the horizon, maybe. Maybe the next 5 years is my last 5 years. I don't know. You tell me, future gigs. Wait. Where are we releasing this again? Oh, okay. Please, don't miss out on Badimo Kgole. October 2021. It's gonna be a magical show.